Because you know my life motto is, if you're not hard, you're soft.
So why do I gotta be soft?
When last year I spent more money on spilt liquor, you're talking to the Rolex wearing, woo! Diamond ring wearing, woo! Kiss stealing, woo! Wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun.
But the AP, yeah. Sliding on the water like a jet ski, yeah. I'm trying to
Sit down, kid, shut up. Sit down and shut up. Sit down. Sit down. Hey, in the
they spit the coupe on my wrist. Multi-million-dollar, I'm a fool.
And I looked across to see who this 7-day-in-a-row marathon was with. And it was the greatest wrestler in our industry's history, the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
It's the woman out of way, a lot of them, a lot of race. Never hesitate to give a nigga yellow tape. And worry about the bag, cause the cash accumulate. Soon as we came in the game, all these niggas, they imitate.
I have a whole lot of hearts, a whole lot of guts, and I'm going to the top of the professional wrestling world whenever I take that world's championship from Ric Flair.
Pure and simple, if Terry Funk breaks Ric Flair's neck through that table, Flair's career is over.
He's got him up. He's gonna pile drive. He's got him up. Oh my God!
Because my daddy was a pistol, and I'm a son of a gun. I'm meaner than a rattlesnake, tougher than shoe
Be
leather.
the man, Daddy. You gotta beat the man. Woo! I'm the world's heavyweight wrestling champion. Woo!
Yo, and welcome everybody to the next episode of the Hard&Soft Pro Wrestling Podcast.
I give you 2 claps and a Ric Flair.
Your mother's a whore.
Yo, what's going on, Hard&Soft Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners? This is your co-host, Randall Always Soft Pacioli, and I'm here with my big brother and my co-host, Christopher Always Hard Harding, and we want to just let you know that if you're not hard, you're soft. What up, man? How you doing?
Not bad, Randall, and you're damn right about that. So, we're happy to be here tonight. We're about to hit you with a great episode, a great match with Ric Flair, Terry Funk, and an I Quit match. Let's just get into it.
Terry Funk and who?
Ric Flair.
The Nature Boy.
Woo!
I let it be known that he is my favorite of all time. And the Funker, man, part of many great matches and some of our favorites too. So, yeah, this is a great episode, and we're excited. We're here at Clash of Champions, the New York Knockout. This would take place November 15th of 1989. The attendance was 4,000 in the arena, and it drew a 4.9 rating on TBS. So just for a peacock check, everyone can go ahead and whip that thing out. We are at 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 5 seconds of Clash of Champions, and it's episode 9 in that series.
Yeah, it's actually going to be season 2, episode 5. Season 2, episode 5.
And again, we're 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 5 seconds. So I'll go through the match card here for this pay-per-view. The match card was led off by the Fabulous Freebirds defeating the Road Warriors and got a star rating from Dave Meltzer of a dud. Okay, Dave. I'd love to see Dave in the ring, you know?
Yeah, well, that'd be a 5-star match.
And someone like Pritchard should rate that. Anyway, next match on the card would be Doom number 1 and 2, defeating Eddie Gilbert and Tommy Rich, which would get 1.25 stars. Then we got the Midnight Express defeating the Dynamic Dudes which got 3.5 stars, so a good match. Steve Williams defeated the Super Destroyer next, which got 1.25. The Steiner brothers defeated the Skyscrapers, which got 3.5 stars. And then the co-main, Lex Luger retained the NWA US Championship against Flying Brian Pillman, which got 3.75 stars. And then, of course, the main event, the reason we're all here, Rick Nature Boy Flair versus Terry Funk in their historic I Quit match. And I'm not going to go into who won or lost, but just so everyone knows, that did get a 5-star rating from good old Dave. And this is a great story, a great match, but a lot of lead up to this this main event here at Clash of Champions. So we're going to go ahead and lead on how we got here into 1989 and the story between Ric Flair and Terry Funk. So Chris, take it away, buddy.
Yeah, here we go, man. So in the November of 1988, Jim Crockett Promotions sold all their wrestling assets to Ted Turner. And even though the company was under new ownership, they still competed under the National Wrestling Alliance name until 1991. It was at that time that the promotion started pay-per-views under WCW, and in the middle of the transition from NWA to WCW, there was one final feud that capped off the old school way of wrestling. WCW had a monumental task on their hands. Instead of trying to match the wrestling artistry of Flair versus Steamboat, they decided to pit Flair against someone who would draw so much heat that the fans would almost have no choice but to root for Flair. The feud in question was the battle between the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, versus the grizzled old veteran named Terry Funk. Your mother's a whore!
Two minds think alike, buddy.
It all began on May 7th in 1989 in Nashville, Tennessee, the site of NWA's Wrestle War pay-per-view. Flair was challenging Ricky Steamboat at the time for the World Heavyweight title in a culmination of a 3-match classic that they had. For this main event, Steamboat was defending his title against Flair, and 3 wrestling legends serving as ringside judges, Lou Thez, Pat O'Connor, and Terry Funk, were to decide the match if Steamboat and Flair wrestled to the 1-hour time limit. And back then, a lot of matches actually went to that 1-hour time limit. It all went down immediately after Flair defeated Steamboat to regain the world title. Jim Ross entered the ring to interview the new champion when a seemingly starstruck, tuxedo-clad Terry Funk approached Flair, almost like a fan would at a convention. So Funk continuously interrupted the interview by congratulating Flair. After congratulating Flair and stroking his ego by calling him the greatest wrestler in the world today, with an anxious-looking Jim Ross looking on, Funk announced that he wanted to be the first to challenge Flair for his newly obtained world title. Flair obviously turned him down, saying that while Terry Funk was making movies in Hollywood, he was their top 10 list of contenders that earned the first shot. Terry proclaims that his challenge is only a joke, and he just wants to congratulate Flair. Rick recalls, Terry extended his hand in friendship, and as the unsuspecting good guy, I shook it. Looking like he was on the verge of tears, Funk sucker punched Flair, proceeded to attack the newly crowned champion, who would hardly have the energy to defend himself, especially after the match he just had against Steamboat. The attack culminated with Funk dragging a beaten and battered Flair onto the top of the judges' table and used a pile driver onto the table. The announcer sold the move as a career-threatening, and in reality, Flair said he legitimately suffered a stinger because of it. The pile driver through the table.
By God, King! Yeah, and I went back and watched that match from, Flair and Steamboat, and man, I mean, everyone talks about those two, right? Being such great performers, and especially together having so much chemistry. But when you go back and watch those matches, and especially this one, I could only help but like sit back and just watch in awe of those two dudes. Like, they were so confident that they could hit a couple spots and literally sell for so long. But when you're watching it, it doesn't feel like that long, because you're just like glued to what they're doing. Their storytelling, it was truly magnificent. And even though we'll get on some of today's stuff on being a little bit too spotty, I have to be honest, like, some of their stuff, their spots were kind of similar to today's style of wrestling. Obviously, their chops and punches looked a lot better because there was more emphasis on it. But still, I mean, it was high-paced, and dude, it was just so much more fun to watch those two go at it than what we see today. But in any event, keep going with the notes here. So Ric Flair would say, "That's when he pulled me forward and slugged me with his left hand before hurling me out of the ring and over the guardrail. Terry pulled off his tuxedo-clad jacket and slammed my head into a ringside table. Then he dragged me onto the table, lifted me upside down, and delivered a pile driver. He almost killed me. It's pretty hard to protect a guy when you're both crashing through a table. I couldn't turn my head for weeks." And still, they talk about that in some shoot interviews, and Flair still kayfabes the hell out of that pile driver.
Maybe one day they'll have a match.
Yeah, I hope not. While an immobile Flair laid in a heap under the table wreckage, an elated yet despondent Funk yelled, "He said that I wasn't good enough. I'm not a contender. Look at him. Look at the horse-toothed, banana-nosed jerk."
That banana-nosed jerk!
For a month after the attack, Flair sat at home selling the injury to the fans. He said whenever he went out shopping or out to eat, he would wear a neck brace to give the illusion that he was seriously hurt. The announcers would speculate that the injury was so severe that Flair was considering retirement. While Flair was doing his part to sell the neck injury, Terry Funk was doing his part to sell the forthcoming battle. He would go on TV each week and badmouth Flair as being yellow and a coward. He was afraid to face him for the title. According to Funk, he did such a good job badmouthing Flair that Flair got insulted for a shoot and asked Funk to tone down his insults on him. Funk was confused by the request because it was all about hyping their eventual match and the beating Funk would eventually take. Funk relented and did in fact tone it down slightly. I don't know if Flair was upset because he was insecure or because he wasn't there, states Funk. You see, he was home selling his injury angle, and all he knew that was what I was on TV doing and saying. All he saw was me blasting him every week. With all the divisions in WCW at this time, I wouldn't be surprised if he thought I was working on behalf of someone else there to make him look bad. Jim Ross said, "I would get on phone calls from Rick saying, 'What are you guys trying to do to me? Kill me?' And JR would say, 'No, Rick, we're just trying to sell a fucking angle.' While Flair was recuperating... God damn it! While Flair was recuperating, Funk slowly but surely defeated numerous opponents to become ranked among the top 10 contenders for the NWA title. He then requested Jim Herd for a shot at Flair's title, which Herd authorized on July 1st, 1989. Ultimately, Flair returned and instead of announcing his retirement, challenged Funk to a match at the Great American Bash pay-per-view. So, the Great American Bash of 1989 became the first big stage of their rivalry, which saw them face off in a bloody brawl where they would both beat up each other like there was no tomorrow. The match's seriousness came across during the pre-match interview conducted by the iconic announcer Gordon Soley. He had the knack of selling even the most pedestrian match as an event of paramount importance. Flair's neck condition became the prevalent theme and the concern over how much punishment it could take before he become paralyzed. The coveted NWA World Championship was on the line, but Funk, with his crazy old man act, could not fulfill his dream of becoming a two-time holder of the coveted belt. The Great Muta involved himself in the end, and Sting ran in to rescue Flair from a permanent injury. Ric Flair and Terry Funk drew big money. In total, they faced each other at least 25 times, with the majority of their encounters not being on pay-per-view or TV, and all won by Flair except for one no contest.
Flair's always winning.
From July 23rd through November 15th of 1989, Flair and Funk tore into each other wherever they met. Most of them were one-on-one encounters, including 2 steel cage bouts and 3 Texas death matches, all very physical, punishing affairs for both wrestlers. Funk remembers a bad injury when he was teaming with Muta against Flair and Sting. One night, I went over the top rope in a match with Sting and hit the rail outside, cracking my sacrum. I ended up riding around on a plane every day, going from town to town, and I couldn't sit on the plane except for takeoff and landing. The only way I could stand the pain was to kneel on my seat facing the person behind me.
Yeah, Funk remembers having a lot of heat with the NWA fans wherever he went. In Marietta, Georgia, a woman actually went after him with a butcher's knife, which had Funk wondering, now why would she defend a banana nose instead of a good-looking funker like me? If you search for matches, you'll see people getting in Funk's face and cursing at him. The funker was not one to back down, though, so he understood that fighting with fans wasn't ideal for business. Amarillo, Texas was the only place where no matter how hard Funk tried, Ric Flair was the one that got the cheers from the crowd and booed out of the building. It was like when Flair was in the Carolinas, the fans never accepted him as a heel in his hometown. In their Thunderdome match for the Halloween Havoc pay-per-view at the Philadelphia Civic Center, Funk and Muta teamed up to face Flair and Sting with Bruno Sammartino as the guest referee in an electrified cage match.
My God, King.
What's going on here? He's gonna puke! The electrified cage had Halloween decorations around it. Before the match, someone turned on the electricity, and way up top, one of the ornaments caught fire. In a surprisingly heroic moment, the Great Muta climbed up the cage and blew it out with his Oriental Mist. Hi-cha-cha-cha! Funk doesn't consider the match a highlight of his career, because they ended up doing an unplanned finish where Ole Anderson in Flair's corner decked Gary Hart, where he then threw in the towel. It ended up being the most ridiculous damn things I ever participated in, and that covers a lot of ground, laminates Funk. Fortunately, sometimes fans accept things better than you think they will. Terry at this time was pretty beat up, specifically his arm. Much deliberation went into discussing the best way Terry Funk could make an impact when he returned from a hospital stay due to a nasty infection he actually received inside his arm. Gary Hart said for 3 weeks, his arm kept getting worse and worse. It was discoloring, oozing pus, and sickening looking. It also had an aroma and didn't smell healthy. Well, I mean, if your arm has some kind of smell, I'm sure it's not healthy. Hart claims he'd wrap the arm every night and tell him, Terry, you've got to take some time off. To this, Funk would answer, I'm wrestling the Nature Boy on top in full buildings making money, and you are too. That's true, Hart said. However, your arm is really bad and it's beginning to smell. Funk finally caved when Hart threatened to tell Funk's wife if he didn't go to the hospital. It seems that Terry Funk can intimidate anybody in the ring, but at home, it's a different story. Dirty Dick Slater took Funk's place while he was recuperating from surgery.
Good old Dirty Dick.
Good old Dirty Dick. When Funk returned this time, he pulled out a plastic bag and attempted to suffocate Flair with it in what became known as the infamous bag angle. TBS executives and TV viewers were incensed after Funk made a run-in and attacked Flair after his match at the Clash of Champions in Columbia, South Carolina. He placed a plastic bag over his head, trying to smother him. I'm gonna kill you, you son of a bitch! Flair sold the attack brilliantly, and as credits rolled on the show, was getting CPR administered to him. The angle was a powerful one, so much so that some Turner executives were livid over it. They refused to replay the plastic bag assault for fear that kids watching at home would emulate the angle, and I'm sure a couple of them did. That was so tame compared to the stuff they did today, says Funk. If you did that same angle today, they'd laugh at you. But at the time, people were calling in complaining so strongly, you thought it was really trying to murder Flair. Their classic feud would come to a brutal end with an I Quit match at the Clash of Champions 9. And actually, that leads us up to this exact moment where we are going to be hitting play, and we are at 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 5 seconds on Season 2, Episode 5 of the Clash of Champions. And this is the famous I Quit match, Terry Funk versus Ric Flair. Woo!
All right, man. If we're queued up here, let's go ahead and hit play on this thing. I'm going to hit a little 3, 2, 1, play.
All right. And we're off to the races here.
Here we are. We're here. Clash of Champions 1989. During their lead up, like I said, I went back and watched the Flair Steamboat. Great match. Different style of wrestling back in the day. Some real, as they would call it, 80s heat. I think Flair would come out in that match with a bunch of hot-looking blonde women, and Steamboat would come out with his family and his kid, and I believe his kid was literally riding a pony out to the ring, so you can tell who the heel and the face is in that matchup. And then, of course, like we went over, Funk drops the old pile driver on Rick, they sell that neck injury into their battle, and I watched that match as well. That was a great match, and the punches and the chops and the brawling, it was so believable, man. And these two dudes that really love the business and love telling a great story around that in that match, the neck of Flair. And, Flair goes on to win that match. But here we are, dude. Clash of Champions. And this is an I Quit match. As we just saw Funk make his entrance.
Yep, now we got Ric Flair about to make his way down to the ring in the only fashion he knows how. A big crowd on hand here as well. Funk in the ring, got his cowboy chaps on, ready to go. Waiting for Flair to come down so he can start kicking some ass.
That's a cool look, man. The old school Titantron. I always say that, but just old school wrestling, man. It's just nothing like it. And I always say, yeah, wrestling can be a little gimmicky here and there, a little silly. But, dude, there's nothing better when wrestling is really good.
Yeah, these two are both known for putting on great matches. So where they also can do the gimmicky stuff, they also have the ability to put on these great matches. The idea for the I Quit match actually came from Terry Funk himself, who had many I Quit matches in various territories throughout the years. And he actually felt it was the perfect way to end their brutal and bloody rivalry.
God damn it.
Yeah, the ending of this classic match had the Funker... Well, I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't seen the match. And to be honest, I've never seen the match. I mean, I know the outcome, obviously, because I looked at it before we watched this match. But, yeah, this is going to be a great match.
Yeah, I've never sat down and watched the full thing either, so this is a first go-around for both of us, so that makes it cool.
Yeah, it definitely makes it a little bit more interesting. Because a lot of the stuff that we go back and watch, we've already watched in the past, and I mean, to be honest, most nights I go to sleep watching a pay-per-view. So, I'm pretty sure there's not many pay-per-views I haven't seen 2, 3, 4 times.
Big gold belt with Flair around the waist of the Nature Boy, the championship pyro going off. This is cool.
Oh yeah, Flair in his famous baby blue tights there. Oh, big I Quit flag. Nice. Crowd's all excited for this. Ready to rock and roll. Oh, Funk's getting on the microphone, but obviously we have it muted right now, so we can't hear exactly what he's saying. So if you're watching along with us, I'm sure you also have it muted. But if you want, you could always actually put the captions on, and you could at least kind of see what's going on there.
Well, I have my captions on. I'll read it. Well, God damn it, Cactus. I think you should just climb on top of the cell and start it on top. I think that's exactly what he said.
He already had the intuition back here.
He was thinking of that. Yep.
He knew exactly what was going on. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, these two both have an array of accomplishments, too, in their careers. I mean, starting it off, oh my God, chop over the top rope, just starting it off. Funk's pissed. He's about to crawl in the crowd and beat somebody up just for Flair hitting him.
Yeah, Funk certainly came across as a fucking crazy lunatic, which is, I mean, it's just awesome, man. Like, give me a time cue, Chris.
Time cue, okay. I got 1 hour, 27, 03, 04, 05. 7. Did we get a little off there?
Well, I think it's just a case of you paying for the ad-free network and my cheap, soft ass not paying.
Possibly. I might have to give you the extra $5 a month.
Well, someone's got to.
I'm at 127, 26, 27, 28. Now we're on the outside. Flair's coming after Funk. Chops on the outside, right in front of the crowd. Crowd's ramped up here. 40,
Look at the chops. Obviously, the chops of Flair are historic or whatever, but God, I mean, I could only imagine that Cherry Funk's chest is going to take a beating.
Oh, God, it's going to look like hamburger meat by the end of this match.
Some blood blisters in the morning.
Yeah, I don't think they do these types of chops down at the Q-Mart, but, you know, local shout-out to Triple Dub A Nation. Put on a great show at the Q-Mart Arena. All right, we're squaring back off in the ring here.
I like the Coors Light post covers around the ring.
Yeah, great advertising, and they're still getting advertisement to this day. Choking him in the middle of the ring. I'm going to kill you, you son of a bitch. Get your banana nose off of me.
A young JR there on the side of the ring.
Oh. Yep. Going back
Funk,
to the outside.
man. Hey, Funk looks good here, huh?
Oh, yeah, he does. He's a young Funker. Maybe not so young, but still, he looks pretty damn good right here.
Get up, Rick.
Oh. Big punch. Right back down to the apron. Let's take it back in the ring.
With a tear in my eye.
Yeah, how great was that promo when he won the 92 Royal Rumble? Maybe we'll have to actually do that as a match soon. As a watch-along, actually. I mean, the 1992 Royal Rumble. That was actually great, Ric Flair winning the title. Oh.
Yeah, and that was,
big chop.
Is that Flair's debut into the WWF?
I'm not sure if it's his
I think it is.
It possibly could be. I know he wasn't there long, though. Big elbow to the forehead. Every bump they take is great. I mean, Flair's a great bump taker.
Yeah, definitely.
Back to the outside. You know, I mean, come on. This is an I Quit match. We got to get some good stuff going on the outside here as well.
Yeah, the I Quit stip in this is cool because you obviously don't think that Funk could ever, utter those words, I quit. And then, I mean, what's the outcome where Flair is going to say it? So, you don't know who's going to go over here and in what fashion.
Flair's even said himself that, like, how many people did I ever beat with the figure four? Probably not that many. A lot of his matches went to 1 hour time limit draws. Which is pretty crazy if you think of, Funk's got the microphone in hand, punching him in the aisleway.
Big chop. So we're watching a lot of that classic right hand from Terry Funk. And I was doing some reading of Mick Foley's old book, and he talked big up on how great a working punch, of the left hand of Funk. And in Mick's book, he says when he finally took a Funk left hand, he realized that the magic of the working punch was a lie, and Funk just absolutely punches you square in the mouth. Like, there's no...
I think that makes sense with the Funker.
Yeah, that's why it looks so good, I guess.
Oh, got him up at the top rope, going for the 10 punches. He's got the microphone. Asking him if he quits.
Get to the top of the cell, Cactus. Start it up there.
Yeah, if anybody needs a time key, we're at 1 hour, 31 minutes, 37 seconds. We're just here enjoying this classic Funk and Flair match. If you're just tuning in to join us halfway through, I don't know why you wouldn't have listened to the first half of the pod, but, if that's the way you roll, then, hey, welcome to the show, guys. This is the Hard&Soft Pro Wrestling Podcast, and I don't think I told you guys yet, but if you're not hard, you're soft.
You're damn right.
And there's nothing wrong with being soft.
You're damn right.
Oh, great neck breaker.
Go through some of Ric Flair's accomplishments here. It might be 4 hours into this podcast as I get done, but
God, yeah.
We'll start in Mid-Atlantic and then also in the Jimmy Crockett Promotions, and before I get to the WWF or WWE, I'll go through WCW as well. Flair would win the Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight Championship 4 times. He'd win the NWA Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Championships 3 times with Rip Hawk, Greg Valentine and the Big John Studd. He'd win the NWA Mid-Atlantic Television Championship one time, NWA Television Championship one time.
Woo! Punch over the guardrail. Funk's in the crowd. Oh, back over.
Yeah, just
Sorry,
great.
Randall. So
No, you're good. Look at like Funk. If he flares his arms out and knocks a civilian out there in the crowd, what do you think? Like, he ain't saying sorry to nobody.
No, there's no way he's apologizing to you.
For God's sakes, he just put a bag on Flair's head.
No, he's punching himself. He's going crazy. Woo!
Look at that chop, man.
Big chops.
I bet Funk goes home and shows his wife his chest, and she goes, "Oh, you worked with Flair tonight, didn't you?" So Flair won the WCW World Heavyweight Championship a total of 7 times, and then into the WWF, he won the WWF title 2 times, the Intercontinental Championship 1 time, the Tag Team Championships 3 times, twice with Batista and once with who? Can you guess?
Roddy Piper. That's actually
pretty
cool.
Yeah, you guessed.
Yeah, actually, that's pretty cool. Roddy Piper and Ric Flair. And for people that don't know, there's actually an episode of Trading Spouses with Ric Flair and Roddy Piper where they actually go to each other's houses and live with the other one's wife for a week or two. And it's a good episode. I actually looked it up and watched it. It's pretty damn funny.
Yeah, you really have to be a wrestling fan to watch Trading Spouses. Anyway, Flair would win the Rumble in 1992, like we talked about, and then, of course, he'd be a WWE Hall of Famer twice. He would go in 2008 as an individual, as the Nature Boy, and then go in 2012 as a member of the Four Horsemen. He's also in the NWA Hall of Fame, also the class of 2008.
It's pretty much a Hall of Famer anywhere he goes, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to some shoot interviews or listen to some guys that worked with Flair, they'll say, some things about Rick, and I don't think we have to get into any of the dirt or whatever because, we're not wrestlers and we don't claim to be. But the big story about Flair, especially in the 70s and the 80s, he would go into these territories and leave the local guy in much better shape than when he first came into the territory. So even though Rick would go over, he would put the local guy over with the story of the match, and the local guy would have him beat, and just by the skin of his teeth, Flair would somehow pull the victory away and keep the title. So that's why a lot of people think that Flair is the greatest of all time, because he did it so well, did it for so long, and really helped so many people in their careers.
Yeah, he made everybody that he got in the ring with come out better, whether or not they won or lost against Flair. And a lot of the times he'd go into those 1-hour draws, and I mean, if you can go and last an hour with Ric Flair, whether or not you win or lose at the end of that match, that's saying something for you as a wrestler, that you can hang for an hour with the best wrestler out there. I mean, we can get into a couple of Terry Funk's championship wins here. He actually, he's got some ones that you would never really even know about, because like his career, basically, I know nothing about besides the stuff that he did when I was a kid. I never really went back and watched all of his stuff, which watching some of these, big pile driver on the outside, right in the freaking eye.
God damn.
My God. I mean, this stuff is, this is a great match for today's standards. In All Japan Pro Wrestling, he won the World's Strongest Tag Team League, which, what the heck is the World's Strongest Tag Team League? But he won in 1977, 1979, and 1982, with Dory Funk Jr., his brother. Look at Terry Funk asking, Ric Flair, do you quit? Your mother's a whore. He's part of the Cauliflower Alley Club. And Championship Wrestling from Florida, he was the NWA Florida Heavyweight Championship one time, which is crazy about NWA. They had so many different territories with different championships. So it's, you could be the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, or you could be like the Heavyweight Championship of the territory. So in Florida, he was the Heavyweight Champion one time, the Tag Team Champion one time, and the Television Champion one time. He was also the North American Tag Team Champions, and he also won the Southern Heavyweight Championship Florida Championship 2 times, and he was the NWA World Heavyweight Champion 1 time. He did actually go into ECW then and win the ECW Heavyweight Championship 1 time, and he was the Television Champion in ECW as well 1 time. He's in the Hardcore Hall of Fame. His banner's still hanging proudly at the ECW arena.
Yeah, his stuff in ECW was awesome, and it was cool because he was known as such a technical, great professional wrestler, and still he went in and went into ECW and got into their style.
It's so far past his like he was winning the tag team league in 1977, and then he went into ECW in like the late 90s, and was still doing backflips.
God, big chop. Yep.
Woo! Oh, they got the table here upside down. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, even here, I mean, we went through the story, right? And Funk is beat up
with the upside down table, like they're tossing to the wind, like with the legs, could, like stab you right in the fucking gut.
Yeah, these guys are traveling. Funk can barely get on a plane and sit and ride it, and he's, for God's sakes, his arm is smelling, and these guys didn't
right into the guard. Woo!
Didn't call in sick. Yeah, look at that.
Threw him across the table.
There might as well have been a big fucking in-ground pull right there.
That was like slip and slide action if I've ever seen it.
Oh,
I think that's Gary. Is that Gary Hart? Yeah, that's Gary Hart right there going down. Ric Flair throwing him around.
Yeah, Funk, obviously not the biggest guy in the world, and Flair not the biggest guy in the world, but they both had, and I've heard The Undertaker talk about Shawn Michaels in this way, you know. They're not the biggest guys in the world, like I said, but when they chopped, they punched, and they brawled, you believed in them.
Yeah. Yeah, you knew it was true when they were throwing it out there. I mean, come on. Like, Terry Funk sells so great. He's up on the guardrail. He's crawling around on the floor, like, you know what I mean? Like, he just took a chop, and this is how he's selling it.
If you want to know how good this match is, I just watched like an 8-year-old kid in the crowd watch that chop with Funk on the guardrail, and he heard the chop, and he looked up at his dad with this look like, Dad, what the hell am I watching? Like, that was unreal. Yeah.
That was freaking awesome. Before the "This is awesome" chant started, this stuff was awesome, and I'm surprised they weren't getting that type of a chant back then.
That kid's in awe, and me and you, I'm 27, you're what, 45, and we're both like, oh, God.
Okay, 37.
What? Oh, okay, all right, my bad.
Jackass. And aren't you 26? I mean, do you know how old you are? It doesn't even make sense.
Well, I'm going to be 27. I'm going to be 27.
Yeah. Okay. And you wonder why we call you soft.
I have one of these brain farts like every episode, dude. Get used to it. Oh, big.
He's trying to break the leg.
You know what that is, Chris? You know what that is? That's classic heel stuff.
That is classic babyface stuff.
Yeah, even though he's playing the face in this match.
Woo! Big chop.
I want to go through some.
Whenever you go to a wrestling show and anybody does a chop, it's just, you know, it doesn't matter if Flair is there or is not there. I mean, that's exactly what you hear in the crowd every single time.
Yeah, and even I think, and again, we're not wrestlers, we don't claim to be, but anytime some wrestlers are in the ring at these local shows that we go to, and there's not much crowd reaction going on, you can just, you know, lean in and give a chop, and you'll get that crowd to pop. You know, it's almost like a saving grace.
Yeah, crowd's ready to rock and roll then.
Some of Flair's Wrestling Observer newsletter awards here. He won Best Heel in 1990. He won Best Interviews in 91, 92, and 94. He won Feud of the Year this year in 1989 with Terry Funk. He won Match of the Year in 1983 versus Harley Race in a steel cage match at Starrcade. Match of the year in 86 with Barry Windham at Battle of the Belts. Match of the year in 88 versus Sting at Clash of Champions 1. Match of the year in 89 versus Ricky Steamboat at Wrestle War, which we talked about earlier. He won Most Charismatic in 1980, and then 82, 83, 84, and 93. Most Outstanding Wrestler in 86, 87, and 89. Reader's Favorite Wrestler in 84 through 93, and then also in 96. He won Wrestler of the Year from 82 to 86, and then 89, 1990, and 1992. And he went into the Dave Meltzer or Matt Seltzer class of 1996, the Hall of Fame there. So, I mean, fuck, man. We make jokes, but that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, man. The real Dan Seltzer was actually wondering how many different Wrestling Observer awards Ric Flair could win, and I was thinking, like, it's an infinite amount. I mean, as long as the Dan Seltzer is out there and rating matches, he's going to keep giving Flair 5 stars. I know it.
Big chops by Rick. Funk throwing some overhand right or left hands over the top of Flair's head. And here we go. I think the first
the figure 4 is locked on.
The first figure 4 of the night.
First figure 4. Do you quit? No.
The jet flying. Kiss stealing.
Wheeling dealing.
Limousine ride. Jet flying. Son of a gun.
Woo! Funk's
Oldest
like, hell no.
ride. Longest line.
Hell no, I don't quit. Hell no. Not yet. Yeah, if anybody needs a time cue, we're at 144, 45, 46, 47. And now as we're here, I mean, you know, we're reading these Wrestling Observer notes, and honestly, when we're looking at them here, he doesn't give Terry Funk as many as Ric Flair.
There's the finish, man.
Oh my God, I looked down at the notes for a second and he gave up. What happened? Did he throw the towel?
Via the figure 4.
He quit to the figure 4. Wow. Well, hey, we were saying before that Ric Flair even admits to not winning too many matches with the figure 4. In fact, he just won this match with the figure 4. And against a very game competitor. Both of them on the mic here.
It's funny to see the mics with wires.
Yeah. You wouldn't see that nowadays. Oh, Ric Flair extending the hand, looking for a handshake. Oh, Funk gives it to him. Oh, Flair's going after Gary Hart. Taking him down. Woo! Chop to Gary Hart. Uh-oh. We got the rest of Funk's crew coming in here. We got there the Great Muda, maybe.
Yep, Great Muda coming in attacking Rick. You know what that sets
D-Lo,
the stage for.
Brown?
Oh, there's D'Lo Brown.
Yeah, D'Lo Brown.
Wait, is it really him?
No.
Okay, all right.
Oh, here comes the Stinger. Stinger's coming in to save. Coming in to make the save for Flair.
Yeah, Sting never the best on the mic guy or whatever, but good Lord, look at him.
Splash. Big Stinger splash. Looking jacked. Oh, he's about to put the Scorpion Deathlock. And we're going to get the figure 4. We got the figure 4 and the Scorpion Deathlock at the same time. The Great Muda, who we saw in the great ECW arena just recently.
Yeah, man. Crowd's going crazy.
Oh, we got Lex Luger coming in. Is that Luger? Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
Young Luger. Looking big and jacked there. I heard that he would always get people to peel his shrimp for him so he didn't have to have his fingers smell like cocktail shrimp.
Hey, when you're the man, you can do anything you want, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if I can get someone to peel my shrimp, I sure would. Yeah, that was a great match. Everybody coming in. on Flair.
Yeah, that was cool. We got to throw it back
Down.
to 1989. Two guys that always get a great name recognition, and obviously Ric Flair, one of the our favorites, and Terry Funk. So many great things he did for the sport of professional wrestling. So that was cool, dude, to send it back to a 5-star classic, all the way back to 1989.
Everybody's leaving, and the good guys are down in the ring. Flair, Sting, Funk, they're all down. Yeah, great match though. Good time sitting here watching this great match with you too. I mean, you can't really go wrong when you go back and get this good old stuff going. And Funk and Flair. How can you go wrong with those two? I mean, it was great to be here with you guys tonight. I'm glad you all came along for the ride. We'll be having some new episodes coming out shortly. And
and something cool about our next episode we're going to record here. We're in 1989. We're watching Flair and Funk at the I Quit match. Funk just quit to the figure 4, and we're going to fast forward all the way to 97, but guess what? It's going to be the barely legal ECW's first pay-per-view, and we're going to watch the main event, which also had Terry Funk playing a big part in that as well. So that'll be our next episode, barely legal from ECW 1997. We're going to watch the main event.
Yeah, so it starts off as a triple threat match, and then it ends up with the championship match. So we're going to watch both the triple threat leading into the championship match. So we're going to start off the triple threat, and it's just going to go right to the end of the pay-per-view. And that's going to be a great show. And, like I always say, guys, if you're not hard, you're soft. And you already know that by now. And, like we both say, whether you're hard or you're soft, we're on both your sides. You're part of the Hard and Soft Nation. And that's all we really care about. So don't get hung up on who's this and who's that. Let's just all get together, have a great time, watch some good wrestling. That's all we're here for.
Well, hell yeah, man. I'm glad we got to do another one, and if you're not hard, you're soft.